I've been really lucky to have several wonderful artists from around the world contribute their work to the Dollhouse Art Collection. Some of them are people I know from college, some of them are people whose work I've loved and followed online for a long time, and I'm super thrilled to have all of them be a part of this project. So I'm going to take you on a quick tour of the Dollhouse Art Collection and all of its artists. The first is a piece called Bollywood Beauty by British comedian and artist Noel Fielding, whom you might know from The Mighty Boosh, Nevermind the Buzzcocks. He hosts Bake Off at the moment. And this is actually the Dollhouse's first official art acquisition because I bought this print specifically for the Dollhouse from one of Noel's art dealers. So, special thank you to hooligan art dealer Tanya Wade for selling this print to me for the Dollhouse. So as a result, I got the life-size version of the print as well for myself, complete with its certificate of authenticity and everything. The piece hangs front and center in the ground floor living room of the Dollhouse, so it's the first thing you see when you enter the door. And I've been a fan of both Noel's comedy and his art for quite some time now, and Little R rewatches season 4 of Taskmaster like 5 times a year, so we're both really thrilled to have his work in the Dollhouse. The next is a piece by Howie Wonder, whose work I've been following on Instagram for a really long time now. Howie creates these very surreal, trippy, hand-cut collages that resemble optical illusions, and the sort of imagery and colors he works with kind of create this blend of futuristic but retro at the same time. Howie's piece hangs in the guest bedroom, which happens to be my favorite room in the house. And afterwards, he even sent me the original version of this piece, which you can see here. And I've taken it out so that you can see all of the meticulously hand-cut layers that the piece is made of. So I am especially thrilled to have an original version of this piece for myself. Next, we have this illustration by Renée French, who is an American comic author and illustrator, and she's also a children's book author. And she paints these really whimsical, fantastical little creatures that always bring me such joy. This piece hangs on the first floor landing area of the Dollhouse, and I've been following her work for a really long time now too. And her aesthetic creates this kind of comedy that's almost unsettling, and I'm always in love with anything that walks that line. The next is this digital 3D composition by Prateek Vatash, whom I know from college. Prateek is a graphic artist and designer who creates these vivid, futuristic 3D compositions. This piece sits in the first floor living room atop the TV unit, and I especially enjoy his aesthetic because despite the bright neon colors that he uses in all of his work always has this subtly dark, almost post-apocalyptic edge to it, almost like it belongs in some kind of dystopian video game, and I quite enjoy that vibe. This next piece is by Nirupa Rao, who is a botanical artist and Nat Geo explorer. Her work features these stunningly realistic renditions of nature and wildlife, and this piece hangs in the master balcony of the Dollhouse on the first floor out in the elements. And what I enjoy most about her work is that there's such precision and exactitude in her technique, but at the same time is so organic and has such flow. Next is a set of 4 illustrations by Taarika John, who is again someone I went to college with. Taarika is a wonderful illustrator whose work always features a great deal of observational humor. These are 4 pieces from her Malayali alphabet series, so you should check the rest of the series out. It hangs in the Dollhouse kitchen, and I thought it would be interesting to have some indication of Little R's Malayali heritage somewhere in the Dollhouse. Tarika's style always reminds me of graphic novelists like Alison Byrnes, and she's working on a graphic novel at the moment, so you should definitely go check her work out. Next is a piece by Vivan Kamath, who is a graphic designer and illustrator whom I again know from college. I went to art school, so I know a lot of these people from college. His aesthetic always employs these really clean lines and vector shapes and stoic face characters. But despite that, he's always able to create such whimsy in his illustrations. This piece sits in the foyer right as you enter the dollhouse, and I always enjoy the really delicious color palettes that he uses in all of his work because I'm really bad with color, and so I'm all the more appreciative of someone who really knows how to use it well. The next is a piece by Bhavani Kumar, who is an illustrator and visual artist. She creates these somewhat dark yet fantastical moods with the colors and the themes she chooses in her work. And this piece sits on this console table in the dining area of the dollhouse. I especially enjoy the sort of textural quality of her illustrations because despite being painted digitally, there's an almost analog feel to them. This next piece, which also sits in the dining area of the dollhouse, is by Manush John, who is an artist, sculptor, and filmmaker. He is deeply invested in studying human anatomy, and that really reflects in the intuitive way in which he renders human figures in his work. Interestingly, he's also the person who digitally sculpted Little R's face, and you can check out his entire sculpting process video at the link somewhere above. This piece is also the very first piece of art acquired for the Dollhouse Art Collection. I saw this creepy baby and I fell in love with it and I had to have it for the Dollhouse. And Little R even paid him a tiny suitcase full of black money specifically for this piece. These next two pieces are by Devika Sundar, who, according to my interior designer, might very well be the next MF Hussain. But you should check her work out because it is genuinely quite breathtakingly immersive. These two pieces are from her series titled Essentially Normal Studies, and she won the Inlax Fine Art Award in 2020. And across all of her work, she creates these really delicate, ethereal, meticulously painted pieces that explore themes of invisibility and illness and memory, and so you should definitely check her work out. Next is two pieces by Adrita Das. She's a visual artist whom I also know from college, and I've always really loved these collages that she creates because she mixes together such familiar imagery from traditional Indian paintings to pictures of gods to scenes from old Hindi movies. And one piece hangs in the guest bathroom and another piece hangs in the first floor living room beside the TV. And I really love her work because she weaves together a dark humor and hundreds of pop culture references to talk about things like politics and religion. And Adrita is also one of the creators of Cards vs. Sanskar, which is an Indian spin on Cards Against Humanity. And Little R has bought the game for herself, and if you haven't played it yet, you should definitely go out and buy a deck for yourself right away. This next piece is super special because it is by none other than Alison Byrnes, who is my favorite faculty from art school. I loyally took almost every single class that she offered, and in fact it was a diorama making course that she ran that first got me interested in miniatures. So I'm so excited to have this painting of hers in the dollhouse. This piece hangs in Little R's master bedroom, and it is from her famous animal series. It's a painting of Seaman the dog, who was part of the Lewis and Clark expedition. And a lot of Alison's paintings are done on silk, and she creates these really interesting pop culture laden anachronistic paintings of historical events and people. Next is a piece by Sadhna Prasad, who is a visual artist who uses these really bold colors and patterns to create these collage-like compositions. This piece of hers sits on the dresser in the master bedroom, and what I especially like about her work is the way that she puts together these really recognizable patterns to create these intimately familiar homey scenes that are almost kind of bordering abstract in their actual construction and layering, but are instantly relatable and very representational. The next is two pieces by Aditya Angelo Fernandes, who is an artist and graphic designer. He creates these really vivid pieces and these really enviable color palettes, and these two pieces hang right above the bathtub in the master bathroom. And I especially fell in love with the colors in these two pieces and the way that their compositions kind of shift between being super up close versus further out, and how these two play off of each other. And so I was quite keen to have them side by side in the dollhouse. And finally, this last piece is by Saloni Chhatwal, who is an artist and graphic designer. She works as a brand strategist and designer, but she also creates these really dreamy, idyllic 3D compositions like this one. This piece hangs outside in the utility area of the dollhouse, and across a lot of her work, she maintains this sort of pastel palette of pale pinks and blues, creating these kind of surreal, dreamy landscapes that I really enjoy. So those were the 15 artists who very kindly sold or contributed their work to the Dollhouse Art Collection. A huge, huge thank you to each and every one of them. The Dollhouse is all the more special thanks to having them in it. And if you want to check out the little thank you mementos that I made for each of the artists, you can check out the video in the link in the description. And you can check out the rest of the Dollhouse and the entire making of the Dollhouse on the Dollhouse Project website, dollhouse.richikanambiar.com, and you can follow the project on Instagram at thisrichika. So I will see you there.